We are live. Hey,
All right.
Crystal, how are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. And you?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. I'm super excited about um, this broadcast of Conversations on the Patio. We have a very special guest with us, my friend and colleague, Ronnie Hawkins. He's a local CPA here or actually in Orange County. So I tell you what we'll do. How about if I read your bio, and then Ronnie, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll go from there. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, here we go. So, everyone, please meet my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. She is a business coach and consultant, the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's the co director of Recycling Black Dollars, the co host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, how's it going?
It's wonderful. I'm glad to be here on a Monday
On a Monday.
in crazy land. Awesome.
Well, Crystal,
Uh,
I think y'all have had a chance to commiserate backstage or wherever it is when you're doing a broadcast. But please help me welcome to our little conversation Ronnie Hawkins of Hawkins and Hawkins Tax Services, CPA. Hey, Ronnie.
hello. How's everyone today?
We're
Awesome.
doing great. We are doing
Awesome,
great. Why
awesome,
don't you,
awesome.
if you could take just a couple of moments, introduce yourself, and then we will get right down to some questions and things like that.
Absolutely. Now, there is one correction. I am not a CPA. I have to make that correction.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. However, I have been in business for over 25 years in terms of running restaurants. And then I have an extensive background on making certain that people understand how business works.
mm,
So, to give you an example, what I mean is I spent a lot of time in real estate.
uh-huh.
In addition to real estate, I thought real estate was it, but that wasn't it for me. So I then wanted to become a mortgage loan officer, and so I was like, "Oh, this is it, mortgage loan officer, got it." Took the safe exam. That wasn't it. It
Ah,
wasn't until taxes where I found my true passion, and
mm,
my passion lies in investigations. I love a
okay,
good tax investigation.
okay.
And in addition to that, I love making sure that I help people in return of the tax preparation exchanges. So it's what I call it, so to speak. And
Mm,
so I that led me to Hawkins and Hawkins Tax Services. Uh,
okay.
so just wanted to make certain I was clear, and and also my love for tax preparation.
That's
So.
awesome. I do know quite a few accountants that really love taxes, but I think you're the first one that I've ever met that really loves tax investigation.
Yes,
So you really like to help people that have, shall we say, run afoul of the tax code in some particular manner.
absolutely. And so, um, tax investigation is like a puzzle for me. I get to look at all the facts, look at the tax transcripts, and then kind of like put the puzzle together to see what happened and what went wrong.
Oh
And
wow.
so it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Never thought I would be doing this, by the way,
Hmm.
but had no clue. Wasn't on my radar. Um,
Well, I have a news flash for you. I'm not sure. I don't know how you're going to take this, but as lovely as you make it sound, and as interesting as it is to you, it ain't that interesting to me. I would just rather pay something. Okay. So
completely
let's.
understand.
Okay.
Completely understand.
Yes.
I
People say the
don't do
same
the
thing
tax
about money.
piece either, but I do love the investigation on the other side of the financial statements when they don't balance.
Ah,
and how they got to there.
See, see, there you go. See, you understand me. See, you understand.
I do. I love the forensics of a good financial statement that's not
Yes,
adding up and nothing is working in it.
ah,
exactly, exactly. And so the
birds of
best
a
time is
feather.
when you have to step away from it and come back again and look at the information again. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
exciting part.
That's the exciting part. Okay.
uh,
Because the
Well,
numbers
one of
don't
the
lie, Javon. That's why. The numbers
they
don't lie.
they don't
yeah,
lie.
numbers don't lie.
Absolutely.
I see.
Numbers
Okay.
don't lie.
They don't
I get
lie.
that. Especially with the two of you, I suppose. Um, well, that's awesome. I didn't know that, Crystal. That's great to know about you that way.
Mhm.
Um, we've got some topics to go over, Ronnie and I. When we prepared this, um, we kind of settled around what do folks need to know as either new business owners or as folks that want to start a business. And you've got some acronyms and some really sage advice, I think. So let's jump into that. The first thing that we want to talk about is the Schedule C. Maybe if you could, for those of us who aren't business owners,
hmm
talk about what a Schedule C is.
Yeah, absolutely. Schedule C is known to many by different names. Some people call it profit and loss. Some people call it expenses, but Schedule C is the form that the IRS used to report expenses, income, and liabilities on that particular form. And so the reason why it's so important to not only new business owners, but to all business owners is the fact that that's the number one thing that the IRS will audit you on is Schedule C. And
Mm,
so it's important that it's filled out correctly. And B, it's important that you know exactly what goes on it. And for new business owners, for some reason, they don't always report all their expenses because they don't know what they can and cannot report.
mm,
So, for a new business owner, this could be a foreign language.
I see. Okay, that's
Yeah.
all right. So if you're going to start a business, you best know A, what a Schedule C is, and B, what expenses can actually go on to that. And I think that goes right into our second question, which is your acronym for expenses. I'm not going to steal your thunder. Go ahead and tell us what it is and how we use it and what it can do for us.
Yes, absolutely. So, according to GAAP, all expenses must be reasonable, necessary, and ordinary. And that's what a lot of business owners don't realize, and new business owners as well, that all your expenses have to be reasonable, meaning they have to be reasonable to your business, they must be necessary to your business, and it must be ordinary. Reasonable, necessary, and ordinary. And to take it even a little further, when we say reasonable, if you have a business driving trucks, for example, now,
Uh-huh.
is it reasonable to say that you need an airplane to do business, to drive a truck? No.
Probably
But
not.
is it reasonable to say that you need a lot of fuel and you need a lot of tires? Yes. So it has
Okay.
to be reasonable. And some business owners, they, feel that, hey, well, I took this class to become a realtor, I can write that off. Well, it doesn't work that way. And that's some of uh, that's one of the ways that the IRS use to determine if it's a reasonable or if it's an expense that can actually be used on that for that business.
Mm,
Same way when I say necessary and ordinary, exact same way. So,
I see. Okay.
uh
Well,
huh.
that makes sense. I think in my business as a retirement plan advisor, it'd be I'd be hard pressed uh, to suggest that I need a
An airplane.
yeah. I'm gonna perhaps I can say on this show there aren't very many things that I don't need as a retirement plan advisor. But if I'm going to be honest about it, I probably don't need a ride on SpaceX or a trip to the moon. It's going to be tough for me to write that off.
Absolutely.
as a retirement plan advisor. But if I had my own astronaut company, then perhaps that would
There
be
you go.
something different. So reasonable to one person may not be reasonable to others. Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely. Absolutely. However, based on your business code that you use when you file those tax returns, the IRS already knows what what's expenses would be in your
Typical.
category. So they already know what expenses you should have in your business based on that business code that you use when you file. So
Oh,
so they already know.
okay.
They're just waiting to see what you're gonna do. Yeah, they're just testing you,
Right.
So
Can
so
we get a hold of that code? Can we get those
absolutely, absolutely. I
oh,
can
okay.
email it to you. For every business, there's a code that the
Awesome.
IRS use, and so those codes determine everything. So
Hmm. Is
yeah,
it pretty up to date? So, like, if there's a new development someplace, does the IRS pretty much know about the new stuff? I'm thinking
absolutely.
of things like ChatGPT and some other internet, those courses out there to help with that, or something interesting like, I don't know, a new way to do some particular function where you need to buy a special calculator or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Their IRS is pretty up to date on when it comes to new technology entering into the market field.
Hmm.
For example, I was just at an event last week, and I was speaking to an IRS agent, and we were talking about how um, getting an IP number, IP, sorry, IP PIN number.
Mhm.
They want you. They're really pushing that this year because of all the fraud that's going on with
Ah.
filing tax returns. So they're suggesting that each family member receive this particular PIN number in order to e-file. However, the problem is most of the technology out there hasn't caught up with being able to input that PIN number. I think there's only
Oh.
one tax software right now that's capable of doing that, and so now there's a lag, and so normally IRS is in front of most of those kind of technologies like that, and so in that instance, the market isn't.
Wow.
Could be the shortage of staff.
That is, you know what? Normally, and to be honest with you, what I do is when I speak to an IRS agent, um, because we have a back line to the IRS, and
Hmm.
so I try to press them on that. I'm like, what's going on with the IRS? You guys are staffed, or what's going on? And normally, the most professional IRS agents, they're normally like, oh, we're not going to talk about it. Let's move to the next topic. Now, the other day, I got this young man who just spilled all the tea. He was like, "We're short staffed, and I don't know when we'll be able to." He just told me, "I don't know when we'll be able to get to that return," and
Wow.
and he was like, "Let's pray that that there's no government shutdown," and because he said if there's a government shutdown, then we're all in trouble.
Hmm. And
And
Wow.
that's going on as we speak
Yeah,
right this minute.
that could be imminent. Could
so
be. Yeah.
now, what does that mean for just a average taxpayer? Well, if you have a business and you need tax transcripts, there's nobody there to get
Mm-mm.
those transcripts for you. And if you're waiting on a loan, it's going to prolong the loan process. If you can't
Ah.
contact IRS agents to do some of the basic functions, I mean, like for example, already they had a line to tell you about the new upcoming One Big Beautiful Bill. There was a hotline set up for professionals like myself for some cases when it's really, a hot topic case or a case where you need more guidance. Those lines are gone. And so
Wow.
you can't really contact the IRS, not as professionals like we used to, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's quite interesting what's going on. I have one of my parents at my tennis program. He works for the IRS, and they just shake their head every single day because there's so many conflicting things coming out of the administrative office that is causing I mean, every department is actually in a complete havoc right about now.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and money seems to be going, and I don't know. This morning I was listening. The tariff money seems to be going to people like Argentina. So the money's coming in, and the money is not quite going. It's being paid by the U.S. people, but it's not definitely going out to the U.S. people. So it's a
Yeah.
complete some kind of show right now.
Absolutely. And
Well said.
I wish I could say it can't get any worse. I wish I could say it can't get any worse, but from sitting where I'm sitting and what I see, it can get a whole lot worse.
Oh my. Oh
It can
my.
get a whole lot worse. So,
So before we go on to the next question, I suppose I could just throw out there. Does that mean we need to file our taxes this year?
well, that's the thing about it. They're gonna always collect now. They're gonna always collect, and so in that regards, yes, you definitely need to file.
Okay.
Right.
It,
And
it's
then
it,
I mean, there was an extension. So for state of California, most people are just starting to,
mhm.
they will be filing their taxes for 2024, October 15th. That's the extended date. So then they'll be there. That means they're in 2024.
Yes,
So come January, they're not going to be caught up for 2024 by no means.
Oh,
So
mhm.
2025 will um, pray for a another, I don't know, catastrophic anything, and then the state of
Anything.
California will be extended to October. That's what we have to pray
Yes,
for.
exactly, exactly. You're so right. You're so right. A lot of my clients are still in tax year 2024 that
Yeah,
haven't filed, and I think the list is actually pretty bigger than what we think it is. So
yeah,
I anticipate already. This October 15th deadline is probably going to be pretty. It's going to be different than previous years. So.
mm,
Yeah. hmm
wow.
Which
Okay.
is why it's important to stay organized as a business owner, as a taxpayer. I think that's another big mistake that as business owners we don't do a good job of. That's what I see in the market right now.
Are there
And
some tools to help us? I mean, I've heard of QuickBooks, Crystal does a lot with that. She's really on top of that. But are there some other tools that can help a business owner stay organized? And is there a schedule that you would suggest that some business owners take? With regard to putting things in the right places.
yeah, absolutely. I think Crystal has it right. I mean, QuickBooks, I think I recommend QuickBooks to any business that's just starting out. The online version is the one that I think would be appropriate. And see, most people think that QuickBooks is just great for, which it is great for keeping up with, your expenses and what's going on with your business. But you got to also think that QuickBooks, if you're trying to get a loan or trying to do anything financially, because you use QuickBooks, it allows you to be able to have access to a balance sheet or to a profit
Mm,
and loss statement. And most business owners cannot put together a balance sheet. And so by having QuickBooks, it allows you to be able to have access to those financial reports so that you'll have access to the pulse of your business and know what's going on.
mm,
So if you don't get it for just keeping up with things, definitely do it for the financials. QuickBooks has some really great financials. It can put together that balance sheet based on fiscal year, based on quarters. You can get your reports designed basically, whatever the lender is asking you for. So
well,
yeah.
definitely like to suggest that since we're not being paid by QuickBooks or, or
Well,
uh,
I am. I
sponsored.
do.
Oh
I get
well,
paid by
he
them.
does. Yeah, we don't. This broadcast
So,
doesn't.
but
Um,
but but let me add to Ronnie's statement. So here's what when I am working with my clients, and I mostly small business clients, it, it, I focus more on the financial acumen for them, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily for tax purposes. That's what we have to do at the
Mm-hmm.
end of every year. But really, in order to run their businesses, they need to have financials so that they can monitor their cash flow of their business, so that they can
Mm-hmm.
keep their doors open, and then they can see fluctuations. So, take for example, right now. What the situations or most businesses are in because of the tariffs and because of just the whole insanity that's going on. Small businesses are the first ones to get hurt
Yep.
because they don't have a lot of flow. Their cash flow, their margins are very tight, and so we're working with the food and beverage businesses right now because they always have tight margins and they find themselves in a lot of financial trouble because they can't make payroll, and also their margins for their cost of goods are high. So it's really about that, Javon. It's the taxes is the end result. I mean, you have to pay taxes. Some folks do, not all. Uh, but
Story for another broadcast. Yes.
yeah, some do, some don't. But for the business owner, and unfortunately, and I'm sure Ronnie, you found this out, that business people are in business to sell whatever they're selling. They have no clue about the financial piece of their business at all.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are not interested in it. So you have to find that one something that they can connect with. And so when I show them how they can how they can increase their revenues, and but it requires them looking at their statements every month, every quarter, every 6 months. Now we're there. So when tax season comes along, yeah, just run a report and you're ready to go. And they're like, oh wow, that was easy because
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking about the taxes. We're talking about your financials being there for you.
Mm. That's a great point that you
Yeah.
make there. We're
Yeah.
not dealing with taxes. We're talking about financials.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How is my business doing? What is the pulse here? How do
Yeah.
I keep a track of that? And I do find that, and even with myself, when I first started, I had a passion for what I did,
Mm-hmm.
but doing that for a business is different,
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure, Crystal, you run into this a lot with folks that are on there. You have a lovely way of saying that their second, not
Oh,
their
their
second,
second act.
their second act, yes,
Yeah.
folks
Yeah.
on their second act, or maybe even on their third act.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and now that people are living longer, they might want to take some of that 401k money that they have when they were saving up for retirement, and they might want to invest that in a business. And if they do that, they may want to get
Yeah.
something like QuickBooks, since they're not paying me; they're actually
Yeah.
just paying me.
Yeah.
And there's some other products out there. QuickBooks, it can be a little costly, but there's some other products that I recommend that doesn't quite have the high price tag that
Yeah.
QuickBooks has. But at the same time, they can monitor their financials so they'll know where they are in their business.
Yeah.
Because that's it's important, especially if you're on if your accounts receivable is not coming in, that affects your cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
uh, right? So,
Yeah.
so these are all the things that, as a business owner, they're required to learn,
Yeah.
and some of them just like, ooh, that's so hard. But as we all know, financial literacy is not something that a lot of us were taught when we were children because our
Mm-hmm.
parents were not taught, or I mean, they just knew how to pay the bills.
Yep.
And so this is a challenge. I would say all of us in the financial space has, even you, Javon, because
Mm-hmm.
that's
Oh,
why they can't
Yeah.
connect with the retirement piece of it because they don't understand the money piece at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
really it really is a shame.
Yeah.
So many folks want to go back to those days of the pension where
Mm-hmm.
they just didn't have to worry. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I hate to tell them that not everybody had a pension back in those days. So,
Yeah.
and even if you do have a pension, that doesn't mean that, you can just go about willy-nilly. You still need to plan, and you still
Yeah.
need to do some other things. And for most folks, they're used to getting a paycheck, and they want to know how we can continue doing that. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I don't think we want to go into them now, but there's a lot of ways to do that. But you want to find out about those ways while you're still saving. To
Yeah.
have to be in a situation where you're in a tight situation because you have to do something right now, that's never a good time to make a decision.
Absolutely. And really quick, just going back to Crystal's point about restaurants, you are so correct. I did it for over 25 years, and those are the tightest margins. And you literally have to run a tight ship when you're running a restaurant. Uh, and if you don't understand the numbers, then it's very difficult. You can't
Mhm.
run a restaurant by feeling or what you think.
Mm-mm.
You have to know your numbers, and financial literacy plays a huge part in that.
Mm.
And our parents didn't teach us that. That
Mm-mm.
part
Mm-mm.
was left off.
Yeah.
So, what I do recommend is I think there are a lot of great resources out here for small business owners that I do recommend. For example, SBDC, SBA. There's a number of programs who have all kinds of webinars. I take advantage of everyone. I still want to learn to see what's out there, to see what's being taught. And here at my office, we also help business owners, the new business owners, to help them to be able to see and understand most of the jargon, so to speak, that comes with financial literacy.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Well, can I interrupt you, Ronnie? Is there a scratching noise back there, or is that going on with one of
It
y'all? There's some.
might be scratching on his shirt.
Oh, maybe on the shirt. What? Maybe your
Yeah.
mic.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
there we go.
It's
Okay,
very
thank you.
excited talker.
Yeah,
But and this is how serious it has been. Here in Los Angeles, I do work for a number of agencies, and one of them is the Los Angeles Urban League. So when the Clippers stadium was being built, Intuit was actually coming into Los Angeles. So it was a deal. No negotiation went on. So for the last 3 years, we've actually provided training and a cohort that's a year long for small business owners that receive if they're selected, they receive 1 year free of QuickBooks, and they get a bookkeeper, their own dedicated bookkeeper, to get them current with all of their financials. And then there's a lot of training and coaching. It's like almost 13 of us or 14 of us that actually train and work with the businesses um, for a year. And their food and beverage is one of them, and the other one is the creative space. So
Mm.
it's been very successful. And then there's a grant on the other side of it when they complete it. So we're now on our third cohort, servicing Los Angeles, 50 businesses in Los Angeles, 50 businesses. Last year it was 50 businesses in Philadelphia and 50 in Georgia. Now it's across all of the states that actually have a urban league in it, and so they're all being taught how to manage, because that is the most important part of being a successful business owner.
So, can people reach out to you to get information on how they can get involved with that kind of program?
We actually just selected our third. Intuit actually just selected the third cohort, so it starts in a couple of weeks. But coming next August, July, they will actually be recruiting again. I think we're going for a fourth one, but this will be the third one that we're getting ready to do.
Recruiting for business owners?
Yeah, they have to submit an application, and so they can get that through the Los Angeles Urban League, and then they're selected. But we have other programs as well. We do quite a bit with the SBA, SBDCs, We have one going on right now for loans for startups. Go figure. We're working on one now that for zero revenues and up, they can apply for a loan if they have decent credit and
Wow.
all their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed.
Well, I don't really talk about loans and how to get businesses going. This being the retirement plan show, but if folks want to email me or give me a call, I can certainly pass them on to Crystal. And Crystal, I'm sure you're happy to talk with folks as well. Let's get back to Ronnie while we still have him. One of the things it seems like you're kind of pointing us towards was what kind of mistakes do most business owners make that you would say don't do that? Have you got some general ones out there?
Yeah, I think we've kind of already discussed quite a few, which is just basically making sure that we're recording those transactions throughout the year, making certain that we understand, why we're making purchases. It has to make sense to the business, and most of all, I would say is making certain that we have cash flow. Cash flow is huge. It's the lifeline of your business. And so when you don't have that cash flow, you have no business, literally. Those are just a few common mistakes. And if I had to settle on one, I would say just making certain that we properly record transactions throughout the tax year. Um, there was a CPA that I was talking to, and an enrolled agent. We were talking about how when you get into C corps and S corps,
Mhm.
sometimes they don't always you don't see them get returns a lot. But we were basically saying one of the main reasons why you don't see them get returns is because they don't run a tight ship, meaning they're not doing a great job of recording expenses, and they're not recording things like they should. And so that's why you don't really see them get a refund back, so to speak. It's a serious and really important topic, just recording expenses throughout the year. Even though we think we can remember it all, it just doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't happen that way. So,
Nobody's memory is that good. That's great. So do your taxes throughout the year rather than waiting
yeah.
till the end of the year.
Yeah, what I would also recommend quarterly, if you can set something up with your CPA or your tax professional, you should be speaking to your professional, whoever you're doing your returns quarterly, because a lot can happen in 3 months. The plan that you have may not, it's gonna there. It could take a turn. Life happens, things in the economy happens, and so we need to adjust. Meet with your tax advisor quarterly versus once a year. Because if you're meeting
Mm.
with them at the end of the year, you're behind the eight ball. I mean, it's over. You have no way of making any true adjustments to your tax situation, especially when it comes to business.
Interesting, interesting.
Hmm.
That's sage advice. It seems at this day and age, no matter what thing that you're dealing with financially, be that your household income, your retirement, your business, anything that has to deal with money, you want to meet with those advisors on a regular
Hmm.
basis throughout the year and just set that up so that that happens. Make that part of your deal. Meet with your financial advisor, meet with your retirement plan person, meet with your tax consultant, meet with your doctor, meet with all those folks on a regular basis and just put it on the calendar. That's what you do. Uh,
Absolutely. And
and
to give you a classic example, I had a client I've been doing her returns for a while. And, she owns a few properties, but she told me something that was that was very helpful, that could save her and I a lot of time and money. For example, she told me that she was going through debt consolidation. So what happens when you go through debt consolidation, as soon as you pay off all that debt, that's going to be passed on to the IRS, which is going to then be passed on to you, which you're going to have to pay taxes on. So sometimes those, when you're going through debt consolidation, your debt can get up there For
Mm.
example, if you owe $20,000, $30,000 that you paid off, that that you're gonna have to pay taxes on it because it's passed to the IRS and IRS passes it to you. And so what has to happen is, in her case, I know and understand her case, and so I'm able to prepare for that. And so one way we can prepare for her case in particular is, we can there's a way she can get around not paying those taxes on that particular debt consolidation. For example, um, if she was insolvent for that particular year, we can file an insolvency worksheet with that tax return, and we can avoid all those taxes that she would normally have to pay altogether. And so that comes from, actually sitting down with the tax professional, allowing me the chance and the opportunity to help her by preparing for a situation like that.
Oh,
So
that's a
that's why
good
it's
thing.
really important.
Yeah. So it seems like we've come close to the end of our show, but it seems like words to the wise are sit down with your tax professional quarterly at least, uh,
Yes.
as a business owner, and call Ronnie. You need to call
Yeah,
Ronnie.
I always tell business owners they have three partners besides internally. These are external. One is their CPA or their
Yep.
tax person, and then there's their attorney. Those are their partners, and so you need to have regular meetings with them. And if they're large companies or medium to large companies, then they need to be you're part of that partnership agreement, right? And business coaches help as well. Because a business owner, what I have found in my 30 years of doing this stuff is they're focused on everything that's happening on
Mhm.
working in the business, not working on the business, and
Mhm.
so they're not thinking about the externals that are out there to help them until there's a crisis, and then they need everybody on board. But you can avoid those crises
Mhm.
if you have regular meetings with your team, your
Mhm.
external support team.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
And
true.
Ronnie is one of those guys, one of those people they should be meeting with on a quarterly basis.
Yeah. And they should be going through your classes, Miss Crystal, to make certain
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
have a
that
pulse
part,
on their business. you
that
know.
part, or tuning into some of my other podcasts as well because we go through all of that. But there's the reason. But what you said earlier is if they come up for air and they're not just working in their business, and at some point they have to be working on the business. They have to.
Absolutely.
It's necessary for them if they want the business to grow, and it's not a hobby.
Absolutely. And just, just to recap, or just to finalize things, I love how Crystal, how you and Mr. Javon are bringing this awareness, to small businesses. And because what happens is, people in my profession, we don't always, help and teach like we should, and it prolongs the small businesses from, being successful, because there's not always people who will, show you and teach you and, hold you by your hand or whatever's necessary so that you'll be successful in your business. And so, but it's people like you guys who are bringing awareness to so many small business owners who just want to just get out there and do their thing and make money, but they don't realize that there's more to it.
Hmm.
And so, thank you guys for bringing that awareness and helping business owners to be successful. That really means a lot, and it helps out people like me.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Well, I
I,
don't think
I
you could have said
also,
it better
I
there.
mean, you have to have that. That's why I kind of have my referral list because we work together, make your job easier, make my job easier, make
Mhm.
most importantly the small business owner's job. Uh, uh, there's more clarity involved
Yes.
when you have a full on team working on your behalf.
Yes.
That
So
sounds
great.
great. Well, folks, we've been talking for quite some time. I think we've come to the end of this particular broadcast. But Ronnie, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you'll come back. I hope we can do that. I'll just put you on the spot. Would you like to come back and talk with us again?
I would love to come back. and my intro will be a whole lot better.
Yeah, maybe I'll print it out ahead of time. Of course, it's always wonderful to spend some time with you, Crystal. Thank you for joining us. And thank all of you for tuning in to Conversations on the Patio. It's been a lovely half hour, 45 minutes conversation about what small business folks can do to prepare for that eventuality of taxes, which we all have to do. So thank the both of you again for coming in and talking to us about that. And I believe we are going to bring the show to an end.
All righty. You
All
guys
right.
have a great week. And Ronnie, it was amazing to speak with you and look forward to doing some work with you.
Absolutely, Miss Crystal. It was a pleasure as well.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week on Conversations on the Patio, and have a great week. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.